Hello guys, so my name is Krish Naik and welcome to my YouTube channel. So guys, we will continue the project discussion with respect to end-to-end project implementation. In our previous part, we have seen like what is the problem statement with respect to the student performance. We are going to solve this one. And I'd also shown you about the EDA and model training part also. So model training also we had actually completed. Now see, all these things, right? Usually when you are starting data science, right? Most of the time you will be working in Jupyter Notebook itself, right? But we need to probably convert this into model coding, convert that into a CI/CD pipeline so that once it goes into the production, right, it should be continuously running, right, whenever we want. Now for this, in this video, we're going to basically start data ingestion, and this is where we are now going to start, focusing more on understanding how things will get implemented. Okay. So over here, you know that in the components, right, we had first of all created this data ingestion.py. Now this particular data ingestion will play a very important role. And for this to understand well, why it will play a very important role, because see, most of the time when you're working as a data scientist, right, for any problem statement that you really want to solve, you require data. Now in a team, when you're working in a team, when you're working in a bigger team, when you're working in a product-based companies, there you'll also be having a separate big data team. Okay. There specifically you'll be having a separate big data team. Now in that big data team, they will be making sure that they will be collecting data from different sources and probably storing it in some databases, storing it in Hadoop and storing it in different places itself, right? Probably it can be also stored in MongoDB. It can be stored in any kind of data source, in short, right? But you as a data scientist will first of all try to read the data set from that particular data source itself, right? Now, these data sources can be various kinds, right? So first, initially, we will just start with the local data source over here. Then I will show you that how from MongoDB also we can extract it. That we'll do in the upcoming videos. First, we'll complete writing this data ingestion part, and we'll try to improvise this data ingestion part, like what all best can be basically done. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's write this code. The main aim is basically to read the data set from some specific data source. That data source can probably be created from the big data team, or it can be created from the cloud team. They may be reading from the live stream data, and many more things, many more possibilities is there. Now, our aim is that we'll read that data, we'll split that data into train test, because that is the most important part, right? We need to split the data. And after that only data transformation will happen. See, after data ingestion, data transformation will happen. Right now it is completely empty. I'm not written any code over here. We will write the code line by line, and you can also practice along with me. So first of all, I will go ahead and import OS. Then I will go ahead and import sys. Okay. The reason why I'm importing this, because we will be using our custom exception. And then over here, I will write for exception, right? For exception, we need to import it from this source. Inside source, you have this exception, which we had actually created this. And we really need to call this custom exception, right? So for that, what I will say from source dot exception import custom exception, right? So this is what we are basically going to import. Along with this, we also require logging. So from src.logger, I'm going to import logging, right? So that we'll also be able to log in the data ingestion part. Okay. So today in this video, we're just going to discuss about this particular file itself. Okay. Perfect. This is done. Remove unused import, removed all used import. It's okay. Right now we'll just keep this. Okay. Now along with this, I will also be using pandas. So import pandas. There is a reason, because again I need to work with data frame as PD. Okay. And then from sklearn model. Oops, what is coming up? As PD. Okay. I'm typing PD. This is okay. Import pandas as PD. And then after importing pandas, I will also be making sure that I will write from sklearn dot model selection. I'll be using this to import the train test split. Okay. Because I need to do the train test split. Now, along with this, I'm also going to use one more very important class, and this is probably in Python 3.9, I guess. So for here, I will say import data classes, from data classes, import data class. Okay, I will show you the use of this data class, because why I'm specifically using, everything will make sense once we probably start. Okay, it'll be amazing once we work with these data classes. Okay, and this is also a very cool way of using things, by creating. This is basically used to create class variables in short. Now let's go ahead. Okay, now see, in data ingestion, right, whenever we are performing the data ingestion component, there should be some inputs that may be probably required by this data ingestion component, right? The input can be like where I have to probably save the training path or train data, where I have to probably save the test data, where I have to probably save the raw data, right? So those kind of input will basically be creating in another class. And this class, I will try to mention it as data ingestion class. Okay, so data ingestion config. Now, the reason why I'm making this data ingestion config, and I will write over here as pass, because in my data ingestion component, any input that is required, right, anything that I specifically require, I will probably give through this particular data ingestion config. So probably if you do data transformation also, you will probably go ahead and write data transformation config, because there also you will be requiring some kind of inputs, right? Output with respect to any data ingestion, that we will try to see. The output can be anything. It can be a numpy array, it can be a file saved in some folder, it can be multiple things. Now, if I want to use this data ingestion config, now see this, I will probably use a decorator which is called as data class. Okay, so this decorator is quite amazing. Okay, because inside a class, to define the class variable, you basically use init, right? But if you try to use this data class, right, you will be able to directly define your class variable. Okay, so here, if I'm probably defining my class variable, so here I require train underscore data underscore path. This will be a str type, that is string type. And here I will write os dot, I'm just giving some path. Okay, os dot join, os dot path dot join. Okay, and I will make sure that I will create an artifact folder so that I will be able to see my output. So this will be the path initially which we are giving to our data ingestion component. And data ingestion component output will save all the files in this path. Like the train data, it will be saved in this path. Now the path will be basically, I will create an artifact folder. Okay, so all the outputs will basically be stored inside the artifact folder. And this will basically be my file name, that is train.csv. Okay, so this is with respect to training data path, right? So this is the input that I am giving. Later on, my data ingestion will save the training.csv file in this particular path. Then similarly, I will go ahead and copy over here, and I will save this test underscore data underscore path. Okay, test underscore data underscore path, and this will also be test.csv. And one more path, one more file that I really want to save over here. And for that, I also require the initial path, that is raw data path. So initially how my raw data is, and I will try to save this in the form of raw.csv. Okay, some naming convention I've basically used, or something I've used over here. So let's go ahead and write data.csv. Now understand why this data ingestion config is called. See, I can probably create another folder over here like config entity, and then I can probably define this class over there. But I'm defining it over here. For the starters, it will be easy to understand. Okay, so these are the inputs that I'm giving to my data ingestion data ingestion component. And now data ingestion component knows where to save the train path, test path, and data path because of this file path. Okay, so this is perfect. So I have first of all defined my data ingestion config. Now let's go ahead and start our class data ingestion. Okay, now this time, since we just only don't define variables. See, if you are only defining variables, then you can probably use data class. But if you have some other functions inside the class, I would suggest you try to go ahead with init, that constructor part itself. So I will write def underscore init underscore, and here I will basically give my self parameter. Okay, and this is how classes are there. You can probably check my Python playlist if you want. Okay, so here I will write self.ingestion config. Okay, self.ingestion underscore config. Okay, I will create this variable which is called as ingestion underscore config, And this ingestion underscore config will consist of these 3 values, because this is the input that I really need to initialize. So here I will write data ingestion config, and I will initialize this to this, right? So what will happen as soon as this will get executed, when I call this particular class, this 3 path will get saved inside this particular class variable. Okay. Basically inside this particular variable, you'll have this sub variable itself, right? Or sub object itself. Perfect. So this was the first step. Okay. Now the second thing is that I will try to create my own function, and I will write it as definition initiate data ingestion. Okay. So this will be my function, and here I'm going to give my self parameter. Now what this initiate data ingestion will do? See, if your data is stored in some databases, I will write my code over here to read from the database. Okay. So if you want to also write the code to read in the database, so what I can do is that I can probably create my MongoDB client or MySQL client in utils function in utils.py, and I can read it. Okay. But here, just to start with, and then I will try to I'll try to make it much more complex as we go ahead. Okay. But initially, let's go and just read the dataset in a very easy way. So first of all, I will write logging.info, and I will say entered the data ingestion method or component. Okay. I will write like this. Okay. So here, this is my logging.info that I'm actually doing. Okay. Now let me go ahead and write my try block, because anytime my error will come, I will probably try to write in this way. So try pass, and I can write my except block also. Okay. Except block. Okay. And this will also be pass. For right now, I'm just writing pass. Okay. Now what will happen inside this try block? Now let's see this. Okay. First of all, let me just go ahead and read this data set. So read underscore CSV, and inside my CSV data set, I will give the path. Right now I'm reading it from the CSV. See, here only you can probably read it from MongoDB. You can read it from anywhere that you want. But just as a starter, because I really want to first of all talk about those people, like those people will face problem who does not know about MongoDB and all, right? So initially we'll start with some basic, and then later on we'll convert this into MongoDB and all, right? So here I will go ahead and probably see this data. Okay. So over here you can see notebook / data / stud.csv, right? So I will give my path over here. So in order to get this path, just right click on this and copy in the copy relative path. So once you do that, you'll be able to get this. Okay. So this is my df. I'm reading the data set over here, and I'll be able to see over here. Okay. Now what I can do, I can basically write another log. Okay. So inside this, I will say logging.info. Please make sure that you keep on writing the logs, because it is important, because anywhere the exception happens, right, we'll be able to understand which line the exception is basically happening. Okay. So I will say exported or read the data set in the data set as data frame. Okay. I can basically write this as data frame. Okay. Now, perfect. This is basically with respect to logging.info. Okay. Now the next thing is that I already know the path of training data. Like my path will be artifacts and train.csv. This artifacts is basically a folder. So let's go ahead and create all these folders with the help of training data, test data path, raw data path. Okay. So for that, what we will be using, we'll be using os.make directories. Okay. Now inside this, I will write self.ingestion config. So this will be self.ingestion config. So inside ingestion config, we have the parameter which is called as train data path, right? So this is my train data path, and I will also give one more important statement over here as so this is my train data path. Let me just say it is basically ingestion underscore config. Okay, I will save this. I'm just seeing that the spelling is wrong, right? So self.ingestion ingestion config. Okay. Now what I will do inside this make directories also, right? I have to combine the directory path name. So over here, I will write one more bracket. Just see this. Okay. I will write one more bracket, and here I will say os.path.dir name. Okay. So what I'm doing, I'm basically getting the directory name over here with respect to this specific path. And here I will give another parameter, which is like exist underscore OK is equal to true. So if it is already there, we'll keep that particular folder. We don't have to delete it and again create it. Okay. So this is what we are basically doing with respect to the os.mix directory. Now, a very important thing that I will try to do over here is that, first of all, with respect to the raw data path also, I can save it. Okay. So I also have that raw data path and I can probably save it in that specific location. Okay. So what I will do, I will say df dot to underscore CSV. Okay. And here I will write self dot. See, I'm going line by line. I'm just making you understand in a very easy way. Okay. And trust me, initially this project, when it was developed, right, it was very complex. We broke it down completely so that you will be able to understand. I know there will be some people who will be saying, Krish, these all are very easy and all. Don't consider in that specific way. Okay. It will be tough. You'll be able to understand it. But once you are able to follow this, trust me, after that, any toughness in the project, you'll be able to get it. Okay. So first of all, what I'll do, I will take this raw data path and probably I'll write index is equal to false and header is equal to true. And I'll save the data in that specific path. Okay. In this path, raw data path. So raw data path is basically saved with the help of this. Now the next thing what I'm going to do over here, I will write logging.info. And I'll make a message saying that, okay, train test split initiated. Okay, initiated. So train test split is very simple. So here what I will do, I will just write train underscore set, test underscore set. Okay, I'm creating train and test. And here I will specifically using train test split. And this here I'm going to give as my df. And my test size will be 0.2 and some random state. With respect to, okay, so this will be my random underscore state is equal to 42. Okay, any random state you can probably give. Okay, once you get your training set and test set, now all I have to do is that again I will write train underscore set dot to CSV to underscore CSV, and now I will save this in the same artifact folder. By using the same concept here, I will just change the part from raw data part to train data path, right? So this is what we are going to do. And similarly for the test also, we can basically do the same thing. So I have done the splitting and I'm actually saving it inside that artifact folder, right? So this will basically be my test underscore set. Okay. Yes, this will be my test dot underscore data path. Okay. See guys, I'm writing line by line code so that you'll be able to understand very much clearly. Okay. So fine. Here I will go ahead and write one more comment. Okay. Logging dot info. And let me just go ahead and write this logging dot info. And here you can basically just write it as ingestion of the data is completed. Okay. So usually in ingestion, these things basically happen. Now here you can probably change the code and probably read it from MongoDB, from MySQL, it is up to you. Okay. That also we'll try to see this in this example only. We'll create a MongoDB from Atlas. We'll store it over there and then we'll do it. Okay. That probably will do it in the upcoming video, but let's understand this. Okay. Because if you really want to learn something, right, learn from the basics, it will always be good. Okay. Now finally, these all things are done. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just return. I'm going to return 3 important things now. Now here you'll be understanding what all things I'll be returning. First is I will write self.ingestion config. Okay. Dot train data path. Okay. Comma self dot ingestion underscore config dot test data path, because I will be requiring this information for my data transformation, right? So this 2 information, what I will do, I will just try to pass it so that my data transformation, which is my next step, will be able to just grab this information and take all these particular data points and start the process. And finally, now in except, I will write it as exception as E. Okay. And this will basically be raise custom exception with E comma sys. So once I do this, automatically the exception will be raised. See how simple we have just written the data ingestion component. We have read the data set, okay, from somewhere, okay. It can be anywhere. I'm saying just considering is somewhere, okay. It can be from UI, it can be from it can be from clipboard, it can be from APIs, anywhere, okay. So we are specifically reading the data set, and then we try to convert this into the raw data path. We converted that into CSV file. We did train test split. Then we saved the train file. We saved the test file, and then whatever things we are returning, we are basically returning the training data part and test data part to my next step, which is basically my data transformation. Okay. So this was the entire class, guys. Now quickly, I will do one thing. Very simple. I will just initiate this and run this. Okay. If underscore name is equal to underscore main underscore. Okay. So over here, what we can basically do is that I will just initiate this. Okay. So I will take data ingestion object. Okay. So obj is data ingestion. Okay. And let me write data ingestion, initiate data ingestion. Okay. So now once I execute this, right now, no folder is there like artifact and all. See, no folder, artifact. Now artifact folder will get created once I execute this. And my logs also, you can see only 3 files is there. Now 4th file will also get created. Okay. So quickly, let's go and open my terminal. Okay. I've just worked in today one file, right? So I am already in my environment, venv. If you're not there, please make sure that you be there in the environment. Then only you'll be able to execute. Now what I will write, I'll write Python src data ingestion underscore ingestion.py. So once I write this and execute it, can't open, no such file and directory. Why? Let's see, source components. Okay, it says it is inside source and components. Okay, so I will write components slash this. So once I execute this, see logs is getting created. I will probably see whether the artifact will get created or not. Okay, this has got executed. Now here you go with respect to the artifact, right? So now this is your data.csv, your train.csv. So this is your train.csv, your test.csv, your data.csv. So all the files has got created. The artifact folder is also created. That's amazing. In the logs file, you can see one extra log file. And if you go and see this, enter the data ingestion method or component, read the data ingestion data set as data frame, train test split, initiated ingestion of the data is completed. So all these things has basically happened with respect to line number code. Also, you can see the data ingestion part, right? Now you can be anyhow, you can basically be creative and you can probably change only this line of code and convert it either by reading it from the API or either it reading from the database. I'd suggest always try to read it from some kind of data source like MongoDB and all. How to do it, how to add those things, I will again give you the code also as we go ahead. I will give you the example separately with respect to MongoDB because I also need to show you how to set up MongoDB and all and what all libraries will basically get required. But here you can see that I was able to do all these things, right? My artifact folder is ready. My data train test, my logs files are basically getting created. That's amazing. Okay. So perfect. This was it. Now what we are going to do over here in the git ignore, no, I will also add dot artifact. Okay. Or artifacts so that this not gets saved. Okay. Perfect. So I have created the data ingestion. Now let's go ahead and add this to the GitHub so that you will be able to see the code. GitHub commit -m and I'll give that a message like let's give the message, right, data ingestion, right? So data ingestion. Okay. So yeah, they're done. So over here created mode. I don't know why. So let's see get status. Okay. Your branch is origin by main pushed. Okay, by one commit. Perfect. So let me just see the git status. Okay, git status is done, right? So over here you'll be able to see that all the files has got added. We have created a mode for this, and here this is my data ingestion. Okay, one changes is there. Perfect. Now what I'll do, I will write git push -u origin to main. Okay, done. So here you'll be able to see, yeah, everything is getting updated. Great. Okay. Now quickly, let me do one thing. Let me just go ahead and see my GitHub, whether this is getting updated or not. I think it should get updated. If not, let's see in your repositories. So I'm just going to open it over here. ML project. Artifact is added. Okay, I had added it in the git ignore. I don't know why it came, but it's okay. We will add the artifact. If I probably see in the source components, data ingestion, perfect. The code is also available. So yes, try to refer this now. Now, one task that I really want to give it to you. So in the data transformation, try to do someone, okay? Try to see how you're probably getting it or not. And let's see how many of you will be able to do the data transformation. The main aim of the data transformation is that take whatever inputs you're getting, whatever outputs you're getting it from here. And, just try to probably read it over here. And then for category features, try to apply some kind of transformation. For numerical feature, what kind of transformation you need to apply. I will try to write the code for this in the next video. Till then, I hope you were able to understand. Now, this is where be creative and try to think what all data source you can basically read. Okay. All those things we will be discussing as we go ahead. So I hope you like this particular video. Share with all your friends. And yes, please do tag me in LinkedIn. I want to see your project. I want to see what additional thing you are basically doing. So please make sure that you share with entire people. Let people know about this. Yes, this was it from my side. I will see you on in the next video. Have a great day. Thank you and all. Bye-bye. Take care.